All right. Kate Jonuska and Mira Landry, welcome back to the Rocky Mountain Writer Podcast.
Thanks,
Hey,
Mark.
thanks for having us.
You bet. Co-chairs of the 2022 Colorado Gold Conference. Again.
Indeed, for the second time. That's a lot of twos in there.
Yeah. Yes, this time, and it must feel a little bit kind of unusual because the cycle got shortened this year because last year's conference was so late. So like they used to say about the Rose Bowl parade, they start planning the parade the day after the Rose Bowl parade is done, but you had even less time this time around to get ready for a September launch.
Well, actually a little opposite, because last year, her and I just got on board in January to do the conference. We pushed the date a month so that we'd have a little more time to plan it. So this year has felt way like we've had way more time to put the details together because we, started the pre-2021 conference. So by January, we were like smooth sailing.
Okay, well, I stand corrected, but that's interesting. You're giving yourself some credit, I guess, or something for having all this extra time, but I'm sure it still feels a little rushed. Yeah, a little bit. Well, I mean, it goes quickly, right?
It does. It's just last year we kind of played on difficult level. So anything after that feels a little bit easier. Thanks to COVID being a little bit more manageable, as knowing how to handle it more. This year, we really have a handle on it. Like Mira said, everything's really well planned. We have our schedule and our keynotes ready to go. And rather than being too stressed this year, I'm excited.
That's great. Well, so I'll go with your metaphor there, Kate. Instead of a double black diamond this year, it's just a regular old black diamond run.
Right. And that just feels like, easy as pie.
Yeah. And speaking of metaphors, now that I'm found my segue, we need to see we need to see your t-shirt. And for those on the podcast who cannot see it, it says
similes are like metaphors. Have to share it with my writer friends because people out in the world don't always get it. So.
It's a deep thought. Yeah. Great. Well, we are here, as we have been chatting about, we are here to give folks an idea of kind of what they're going to get in the 2022 version of the Colorado Conference, Colorado Gold Conference. So I think the main thing to highlight, there's lots of things that are pretty cool changes and twists. You guys are always looking for new ways to upgrade it and improve it, make it better. But I mean, a lot of our automobiles are on automatic pilot to go to North Quebec Street and take a left at the Renaissance Hotel. So we really need to get the word out that you're going to be, 10 miles away if you don't pay attention to where the venue is this year.
That's true. We do have a new venue. We're going to be, or hosting us will be the Hyatt Regency in Aurora, Denver. So it's just at the Children's Hospital. And I always say the name wrong. What's the name of the Children's Hospital out there? It's on that campus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
There's the whole Anschutz Medical Campus and Children's Hospitals on that same big piece of ground there with,
Right absolutely. Yeah. So right there. So it's it's a new hotel. It was built about 5 years ago. I did a walkthrough in the fall, and we're actually going next week to do another one with a new coordinator there. So it's one thing that we really like about this venue compared to the Renaissance. And let me first say, we did love the Renaissance. We wanted to try something new. So the Renaissance had like 3 levels of rooms, and I think a lot of people, like, hotels can feel a bit like a maze, and a lot of people were constantly like, which floor should I be on? And then when I get to that floor, where do I go? This conference space has one big foyer, and all the conference rooms branch off of this one big foyer, and they're just numbered. So it's really easy to just kind of follow along until you find your number. So we think that it just, as far as logistics go, is going to be great for organizing. There's great patio spaces that we plan on making use of, weather permitting. That's great. The ballroom is huge. We've got a beautiful bar area, which I've negotiated to stay open until midnight. So for all you night owls, that'll be accessible.
BarCon.
Swimming pool, like coffee shop. They've got all the things in within walking distance. There's lots of little lunch spots and everything, should you want to do that.
Great. And you mentioned the bar. So BarCon has extra hours then. That's great. Yeah.
And lots of room for socialization. Like she said, just another layout that's going to be really fun to connect. with other people.
That's great. And is there a special room rate or anything for those who are needing a place to stay and all that?
Yeah, we negotiated. So it's $129 per night, which for anybody who's been staying in hotels recently knows that's a steal. So yeah, very excited that they were able to work with us on that.
Great. And
if you check out the conference website, you can check out a few photos of the hotel. There's links to register. And also, if you go to the hotel's website, they even have an amazing drone tour. It's so cool.
It is really nice.
So you can go and get really excited.
That's great. And we should probably put out there the dates while we've, got the location. Let's underscore the dates.
Yeah. So the welcome session starts Friday, September 9th at 1 p.m. And the brunch that ends the conference ends at 1 p.m. on Sunday, September 11th.
Great. Fantastic. Okay, let's kind of run down a few items. We built a list. Let's start with the keynotes. Mira, do you have that?
Yeah, I do. Okay, so our first keynote, I'm really excited about our keynotes this year. I think they're a great mix and they're both wonderful speakers and just like people who are really enthusiastic about coming to conferences and interacting with writers of all levels. So I just think they're going to be similar to last year, just great additions to what the conference brings, both educationally and as speakers, like and motivationally, and just people that you can generally walk up to and say hi and have a conversation about writing and life. And yeah, I'm very excited about these. So first for the Friday night, we have Catherine Center, who is visiting us from Houston, Texas. She's a New York Times bestselling rom-com writer who is called the reigning queen of comfort reads. So she's actually had 8 different books on the New York Times bestsellers list, including her newest, What You Wish For, which I'm currently listening to on audiobook and loving. Her next title, The Bodyguard, is out in August, and you can find a pre-order link for that on our conference website. One of her novels, The Lost Husband, was adapted into a movie and was #1 on Netflix for a while, which is great. And her second book of hers, called Happiness for Beginners, is currently in adaptation for a Netflix original. So I'm hoping that she speaks a little bit about what it's like having a book adapted to film. And I know she's been like pretty integral to the process of the screenwriting and how the movie was developed. So I'd love to hear her speak about that. And then our Saturday night keynote is Chuck Wendig. So he's visiting us from a small town just north of Philadelphia. He's also had multiple books on the New York Times bestsellers list and has been around for a while, including Wanderers, which is actually a personal favorite book of mine. And the sequel to that, Wayward, is coming out in November, I believe. He had a horror novel that was #1 on Goodreads last year called The Book of Accidents. He's contributed to Star Wars. He had a thriller series out, the Miriam Bach thriller series. Those also ended up on the New York Times bestsellers list. I'm also really excited that he writes in different formats. So he's written comics, he's written for like the gaming world, film, television. He's got a great book out on writing called Damn Fine Story that I hope we'll have in the bookstore. And he's going to do like an Ask Me Anything type workshop that I think will be really well attended. So he's a great speaker. I'm excited to host him.
Yeah, I don't know Catherine, but I saw Chuck at the Northern Colorado Writers Conference, I don't know, half a dozen years or so ago. And, you just get so fired up. He is just a blast.
He is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I love the fact that they represent such different styles of writing too. They're both so successful, but one is called Feel Good and one is definitely known for more of the dark side. So it'll be interesting to see what overlaps between them and then what specialties they bring as well.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then we have a guest speaker who's actually a local author, Erica Worth. She'll be kicking off our welcome session. She's also hosting a masterclass on speculative fiction, which is really great, and a workshop on horror genres. So I'm excited to be hosting her as well. And just a note on that welcome session, last year we had some people say that they didn't have time to get lunch after their masterclasses. So we've definitely left a little gap this time. So the welcome session starts at 1 o'clock.
That's great. And that was a feature you guys added, and I have to say I was there last year and thought it was a really smart thing to do to ground everybody in the conference rather than just sort of launch workshops and away you go. It kind of brought everybody together, and it was a nice sense of community and togetherness that really set the tone for the weekend.
Yeah, get everyone motivated and remind them they're all writers. We're all in the same pot here. So.
Yeah, kind of establish a little, we're away at camp, and here are the rules for camp this week. Yeah. camp with drinks, that is, I guess.
Oh, the best kind.
Yeah. So let's go into, and I love this item on your agenda, Kate, because I've never really seen it described this way before, the general curriculum. I really think that's a really smart, kind of puts it in the higher education or any kind of educational setting, which is what it is.
Yeah, honestly, that word curriculum comes very naturally to me after having done this 2 years. The workshop committee, which is comprised of quite a few different people from RMFW in different stages of their careers. And we really approached this as we wanted a well-rounded curriculum that could appeal to everybody and anybody. So some of the highlights this year, for instance, the curriculum should always include a little bit of hands-on research from someone who's very interesting in their field. We actually have a current soldier who's going to be teaching us about hand-to-hand combat, which I think is fascinating because no matter what genre you write, you might have a fight scene here or there. We have writers coming from all over the continental US to speak to us, including some about motivational things like using ancient runes to help propel a story or to come up with ideas. We have a specialist coming in this year that, as Mira said, adaptation being such a thing for us authors of all stripes nowadays. We have someone coming to teach about that as well as an agent who is there to take pitches for Netflix and other screen projects. So that's exciting as well. Again, to go back to the point, I think we really did a good job of balancing the curriculum in terms of beginner, intermediate, and advanced. We got some feedback last year. We wanted a little more intermediate. So we're trying to feed that in. But we always try to look for fresh takes on things too. So we've got a few favorite teachers coming back. It is also an anthology year, by the way. RMFW puts out an anthology every other year. So this year at conference, you can not only buy the anthology, but you get to meet the authors at a special panel. I actually have one of the anthologies with every author in there that was present at the conference. So I got to meet all of them and they all signed my book for me.
That's great. Do you recall the title of the upcoming anthology right off the top of your head?
Oh, shoot. No, I don't.
I should know.
Veronica and Amy are.
Right. That's okay.
Apologies. I didn't submit, so I don't remember the theme myself.
I think the theme was renew, isn't it? Or is that from the year before? I think it's renew.
Yeah,
like RE/NEW.
That sounds right. Yep. Yeah. It's just been a while since we heard from that group. We know that they've been busy pulling it together. Yeah, that's great. We'll probably get them on the podcast and go into great detail about how that book came out. So, fantastic. I hope so. Yeah, great. So did you get a lot of proposals this year? Were you, as always, overwhelmed with ideas?
Yeah, the proposal window is open for about 4 weeks. Yeah. And we got well over 200 ideas. And to give you an idea, we look for about 50 hours of programming. So that does definitely make our job in the workshop committee difficult.
150 hours of programming.
Oh, sorry, 150 hours of programming.
150 hours, not 50 hours. Yeah.
I'm like, that doesn't, okay. Thank you, Mira, for that. I appreciate it.
Right.
But nonetheless, it makes it really difficult to balance the schedule. But it's nice too, because we have a few new presenters, as well as a few old favorites. We really try to give new presenters who don't have any presentation experience yet a chance now and then. Absolutely. And they have a wonderful idea.
Yep.
And then we like to bring back those who are highly rated every time. So.
Well, I have a question you may not immediately know the answer to, but with the new venue and the way it's configured, do you have the same number of simultaneous offerings going on as you did at the old hotel, or because perhaps there's more or different space, you can offer even more simultaneous? You know what I mean? Because in the old days, you were always choosing between 4 or 5 different strands.
Yeah. So unfortunately, you're still going to be choosing that many, probably more. So we had, last year was a little different. We knew our attendee numbers were going to be lower because of the COVID situation. And so we actually anticipated because there's less people, there's just less people to scatter into different rooms, you know? And so because not all the workshops are attended the same, we actually purposely held less classes at the same time last year. This year, we're aiming for a much higher attendee numbers. And because of that, we have given a lot more workshops. So there will be 9 or 10 offerings at any given time. Also running with that, you know, we have roundtable critiques, and we have one-on-one sessions and pitches going on. So there's lots of other activities that are going to be going in other rooms that don't include those 10 rooms that we have available for workshops.
Yeah. So it does sound like it's a little bit more to choose from at any given hour.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
If I can add on to that point, I know people are going to be thrilled to have those roundtables and one-on-ones back with mentors. But one of the reasons we use general curriculum as well is because we have other stuff going on. We have so much interesting stuff going on this year, especially before the conference. Not only the master classes, but a whole Thursday intensive. So there is no way you could come to this conference and see all the amazing things, do all the amazing things. It's just going to be a full menu.
Yep.
I should also talk a little bit about that Thursday intensive if we have a second for it, just
We
because it
do.
is a completely new addition. And if you're not a conference attendee, you can still attend the Thursday intensive. So I've made it as like, maybe you have plans that weekend, but you're willing to take the Thursday off to like get a little bit of the social educational idea. So it's essentially 4 masterclasses put into a whole day. Lunch is included, including a coffee break, and you even get a happy hour moment with some of the teachers at the end. So the idea is that aim for beginner, maybe intermediate if you haven't taken courses similar to that in the past, but it walks you through the entire novel writing process. So from the beginning, plotting, outlining, or just, you know, pantsing with idea of how you go about telling a story through character development, scene settings, and then even we have Angie Hodap coming from the Nelson Literary Agency to talk about revisions and querying. So really to walk you through the entire process. I just think it's a kind of a nice little add-on that, say you are kind of spread out throughout the conference, you know, you're getting that foundational base, especially for our new attendees and beginner writers.
So the Thursday intensives is how many classes? Do you have that set up? Is it
Yeah,
okay.
You can find that all on the website with a more deep dive description into what the workshops entail and who's hosting them. But there's 4 classes, and it'll be, like I said, the entire day.
Okay.
I think it's $229 as an add-on and $299 if you're not attending the conference. So.
Okay, gotcha.
Especially for out-of-towners who come to Denver for the conference. I mean, if you're having a few days on either side, it's kind of a nice extra opportunity.
Right. So the Thursday intensives, they're obviously, I believe, on Thursday, given the title. and then the master classes are Friday morning?
Correct.
Like they've always been. Okay.
Yeah.
And can you give us a little rundown on those?
Mira, do you want to talk to Erica, and then I'll bring the other ones up?
Yeah, for sure.
You know
what? I'll talk. So Erica's doing one on speculative fiction. So I believe she's just going into the details of what qualifies as speculative fiction and different aspects of that in both the literary and genre sense. And then we have 2 other visiting VIPs coming that we're really excited about, and they're both hosting masterclasses. So I'll just take a second to talk about them. So David Robbins, he's a New York Times bestselling author and award-winning playwright, and he's presenting a masterclass on point of view. From what I know, he's a pretty engaging speaker, and I think point of view is sometimes one of those subjects that people are like, oh my God, I don't want to hear about. But if you know it's something you need to be working on, like, he's the person you want to hear about it from. So definitely take a look at that masterclass. The second person, Molly McGee, she used to be an editor for Tor, and she's an award-winning novelist herself. And she's coming, and she's actually putting on a really interesting masterclass. I've never actually seen this topic put together in a workshop or a masterclass. Not that it hasn't been done, I've just not seen it. And I guess the gist, or the simplistic way of putting it, is how to keep your artistic side first and foremost, while also navigating the publishing industry. So as somebody who's both a writer and who has been, you know, quite high up in the publishing industry, she's had multiple books that she's edited be on a New York Times bestsellers list. She kind of knows the ins and outs of that, but also is like true to her artist soul. So I think that'll be a really interesting masterclass. And I've already seen from the numbers and registration, it is a popular one.
That's great.
Yeah, and then there's 2 more actually. Longtime favorite Heather Webb is doing a class on You Had Me at Hello, Effective Openings. The great thing about that masterclass is openings are so important, but much of the class is going to be workshop and lecture, but the other part is actually critique of openings and really working with the other members of that masterclass. So I think that could be super valuable depending on where you are. And then write characters your readers won't forget. Anybody who's ever met Stan Latore, he's a very big author in the community, but especially active in the Pikes Peak writers community. But he's coming up to RMFW this year to do write characters your readers won't forget, a deep dive into character building. He also has a couple of different writing books, writes worlds your readers won't forget, and that he's teaching a little bit later too. So that's nice.
That's great. Excellent. Wow. We've got Thursday and half a day Friday, and I already feel like I want it all, you know, that feeling, and let alone 48 hours more of general curriculum. That's great. All right. So let's get into just a little bit. You're bringing back the roundtables and pitch appointments. There were pitch appointments last year, but not the roundtables. Is that right?
Correct. I mean, we had issues with social distancing, of course.
Right.
So making sure that, 10 people could sit around a table seemed pretty dangerous back then. But yeah, the critique roundtables, which are an add-on. And also in terms of the appointments that we didn't get to have last year, there's the blue pencil appointments where you get to have a mini critique. And also mentor appointments where you can meet with one of our really seasoned writers and authors and ask them really whatever you need to. At whatever point you are in your career.
And I'm just going to explain a little bit about what roundtable critiques are, because I know when I first heard that term, even having attended multiple conferences before, I was like, what is this one? But for those who don't know, or for those who are considering joining us and haven't been to a conference before, there will be 8 different writers in the room and 1 publishing professional. So mostly our agents who are coming, and then Molly, who was the editor for Tor. So they're going to all be hosting it. And earlier in the summer, you'll exchange some pages. We'll contact you if you sign up for one. You'll exchange pages and everyone will get a chance to do a critique. So it's essentially like a large critique group with a publishing professional. And it takes about 3 hours, maybe a little bit more, this in the morning and the afternoon on Friday.
Yeah, and I'm just going to put in a pitch for those because they are extremely valuable, I think. And it's just so interesting to get that critique for your own needs. You get the feedback from that professional and your fellow writers as well. It's a very rich and rewarding thing to do, I think.
And if you don't have any work ready to share, there are a few limited spaces for auditing those. So if you just want to kind of come and see how other people's work is critiqued without actually putting yourself out there yet, you can participate that way too. And then we had kind of mentioned pitch appointments, and I did want to talk about a different setup this year. So anyone who's gone to pitch an agent at previous conferences, we are moving this year to a system that's more similar to larger conferences. So everyone will be in the same room. No, you won't be hearing the person next to you. It'll be all spread out throughout the ballroom, but just come prepared for a little bit of a different setup. So you won't be one-on-one in one room with an agent.
Huh. Okay, interesting. Is that something that the shape and the way the venue is organized, did that drive that, or was that based on some research and you poked around and found a better way to do it?
It came from having attended conferences that did it a different way, and I thought it was a little more effective and a little easier to organize for volunteers who are organizing it. So
great, sounds good.
Now, speaking of critique, our roundtable critiques are amazing. People are going to love having them back, but there's also some live critique at conference. Our special guests, one of our agents, and also one of our VIP guests, so an author and an agent, are going to be doing live critique. So you'll get a chance to submit work in advance and have an author and an editor read your work and tell you what they really think. So that's always a fun show as well, just because it gets to be a really social experience. So
that's the critique bar, right?
Yeah, the critique bar. Thank you. Which just makes me sing the song "The Tiki Room."
That's just bad. I'm sorry. That's just terrible.
No.
Does it come with little umbrellas? Everybody get a little umbrella?
I will suggest that. I will.
All right. Wow. Is that going to be an evening thing, or is that part of the regular daytime programming? Or
That is part of the regular daytime programming,
Okay.
kind of more of a panel, but absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll set it in your happy hour.
Yeah. And you can just walk in that day and bring some pages, or is that something you do ahead of
We will
time?
have a place on the website where you can submit them in advance. So
Gotcha. Nice, nice. Very good. Well, and then I know we need to put out the call for volunteers. Here we are in early May. And actually it's May 8th. So we're June, July, August, September, that many months away, which is 4. And you need your crew. It won't run well without volunteers.
Correct. Yeah.
well, thankfully, we usually get a full complement of volunteers, and they're lovely, lovely people. But we do always want to remind people, hey, please do step up, especially if you're thinking of coming to the conference anyway. It's easy to put in like an hour or two of volunteering or moderating some of the workshops, which helps make us have a smooth running, safe, fun conference just all the way around. Plus, I think it just drives home the whole part of we're a community. We are a community that relies on one another, and giving back at conference and helping just a little bit volunteering makes it even that much more rich of an experience.
Absolutely. I mean, we're all volunteers, you know, like the board is volunteer. We're running this conference volunteer. So we just need a few more of you to help make sure it runs smoothly. And whether, you know, and I always like to add that the more you give to the conference, the more you get out of it. Like maybe you're just moderating and introducing a presenter, but then you know that presenter, you know, you're going to be in touch with them at dinner. Like there's just adds more opportunity for connection and networking and just feeling like you can participate and being a part of the community. So you get as much out of it as you do as you put in, for sure.
Boy, I completely endorse that as well. I think those little tiny moments, you just don't know where that might lead to. And it's so true. It's my father used to say, to have a good time, give a good time, and to have a good conference, give a good conference. So get in there and be part of it. That's great. Scholarships. Who wants to take that?
Oh, I will. Thankfully, RMFW has been super generous, especially last year, the results of our silent auction and through the registration process where people have an option to donate to the scholarship fund. We have 9 scholarships to the conference this year. I mean, that's almost a full table of people that we get to welcome to our big conference. So if you are someone out there who would like to see about a scholarship this year, please do visit the conference website. There's an application. With that many openings, you really have a shot. And everybody should have a chance to see this conference at least a few times in your lifetime, in my opinion. And all of us writers know, have been, you know, I really wish I could go this year, but I just can't swing it. Hey, let us help swing it for you. If it's your time to go, please put in an application.
Excellent. Very cool. That's such a great new feature that's really grown nicely.
It has.
Yeah.
I'm really happy. I think last year we were able to offer 3 scholarships. Mira, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's right. And this year's 9.
9. Yep. So
phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, what an amazing community that we can do that.
Yep. Great. The other thing you maybe want to tease a little bit is maybe a new wrinkle on the Saturday night programming.
Yes. So this idea was developed based on feedback from the survey. The open mic on Saturday night, which had been a tradition for a while, we wanted to spice it up a bit. So what I've actually done is combined the open mic reading night with the signing and book selling event on the Friday. So I think it would be a lot more interesting for those authors to get up, you know, read the first 5 minutes of their book and, you know, sell it to you that way, get you hooked. So that's going to be combined. So that Friday night signing event is going to have a little bit more entertainment involved. And then Saturday night, now I'm not going to tell you everything about it. The title is called Crosstrain Your Creativity. It's a very interactive event. It's just meant to get people up and out and like playing, you know, so much with being a writer, you feel like you have to be so good at it or be perfect at it sometimes when you're putting words on pages. And this whole exercise, as I'll call it, is really just about letting yourself play with art and be bad at it. And there's no commitment to it. So it's just kind of wander around, have a drink, and explore. So I'll leave it at that. You can come and find out what the stations are for yourself.
Awesome.
Yeah, I agree. We should keep this a bit of a mystery, but I just have to say it lights my heart up. Like it lights my creative heart up, all the things we have planned for that night. So I really hope people come with an open mind, and yeah, we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Well, you'll be, as soon as you leave the ballroom, you'll be a part of it. So you can choose whether you want to stick around and explore, or if you want to go to bed, which why would you? So
well, yeah, that's part of the excellent like social floor plan of the new hotel, is that we're able to split this event around the space in a way that's really mingling and really casual and hopefully really engaging.
Oh, sounds great. Fantastic. Kate, last year you did a little yoga thing on Sunday morning, I think it was.
Yep.
Are you bringing that back?
I am, yeah. We're bringing it back this time, not at 8 a.m., but at 9 a.m. on Saturday or Sunday. So hopefully that's a little bit better attended. The best feedback I got about that was it was really calming before your pitch appointment. So if you have a pitch on Sunday, come to my very gentle, even from a chair yoga, and get your center first.
That's great. That's great.
I should have you at the pitch waiting room, just doing yoga with everybody while they're getting ready for their pitches on Saturday.
Just breathing.
Yeah. That's great. What, Mira, were you able to really feel like you engaged in the conference last year, or were you just swamped with managing stuff as it came up?
You know, I didn't get to attend any of the workshops, which I would have hoped to, which I think was my own. I probably could have, looking back, but I was just like, so, oh my gosh, everything feels so delicate. But I did. I mean, I got to meet so many people, you know, as you say, you give what you get. I got to spend a lot of time with the keynotes and different agents and learned so much about the industry from a behind the scenes level that was really helpful for me. So I felt like I engaged just in a much different way than if I had just been attending the workshops.
Kate, same question for you.
Same question for me. I didn't get to go to many workshops, no, but the 3 that I presented last year all went really well. 2 of them we're performing again this year because they are just interactive experiences. So the other one that, in addition to the yoga that was really rewarding, is we're offering critique partner speed dating. Me and Dan Grant, author Dan Grant, are getting together, and it's just an old-fashioned speed dating, but with 5 minutes this year per person to talk to one another, see what you're looking for in a critique partner before the buzzer goes, and you got to go meet somebody else. So it's a great socialization exercise, and also help you network, find some critique partners or a critique group. So again, no, I didn't go to a ton of conferences. Since I am a published author, you know, sometimes I don't go to those beginner or intermediate conference ones. And I'm with some of the new slants on these evergreen themes. There's a couple that I'd like to go to again. I'd like to go to this year, now that hopefully we're not playing on the harder level.
Yeah. And I definitely feel the same way looking at the schedule this year, and even like a masterclass. Like I'm really hoping I can kind of sneak in and actually attend some this year. Like I know I would definitely benefit. There's so many amazing presenters who are absolutely experts in their field, and I'm so excited to hear what they have to say. So.
Well, I'll say right now, I will hold down the ship while you attend a masterclass. You deserve
Thanks,
it.
Kate. That's great.
That's great. Indeed. Wow. So just as we wrap up here, I'd love to hear from each of you any kind of updates on what's happening with your writing. Mira, can you give us a little status snapshot of where things are, how are things going?
Things are going pretty good. I've taken a little change this year. I went back to the very first novel I ever wrote, which is a women's historical fiction, and completely revised it, which includes changing the POV and slashing and then 20,000 words and then re-adding it. And it was really like such an interesting experience to go back to something that I wrote, God, I don't even know how many years ago, that had a great premise, but it was like my beginner writing. And it was really fun to see the changes. And, you know, there's definitely some times where I was like, what was I thinking? But that's why you update it. And I just got my first revision back or my notes from my first beta reader. And it was really promising. So I'm very excited about that.
Is there
that's excellent.
Is there a working title on that one?
It's called Play Your Queen.
And what era is it set? And where is it set?
It's set in the 1880s to 1890s. It's actually inspired by the true story of my great-great-grandmother, who, when she had 4 kids, her husband got lost at sea. And this is a time when there are no resources for women on their own. And she actually developed a business empire.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's some good twists that come later that are also part of her true story, but I don't want to give any spoilers. So,
And are you planning to have it ready by conference to pitch, or?
I'm probably hoping before then.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't feel like, because of this position, I really feel comfortable pitching at the conference to the agents who I'll be communicating with on the side. Some people feel differently about that, but that's not my.
I think that's smart. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Good choice. Kate, what's going on with you?
I did hope to have my current work in progress done by conference, and that's still a possibility. It's going, but going a little more slowly than I'd like. So I just had a lot of personal medical emergencies and family emergencies pop up, and I'll be honest, it gets shoved to the back burner sometimes, you know. I'm also a freelance writer and a yoga teacher. So yeah, it's going slowly, but going. And this is the near future Denver. It's a dystopia where food no longer grows, plants no longer grow outside a laboratory setting. And so people subsist on tasteless nutrient for the most part. So yeah, when I'm not feeling so cheery, it can be a little bit of a hard place to be. I'm sure, you can understand, but I actually expect to get a lot done. I have 2 chapters I want to revise during the RMFW retreat later this month. So I will also be teaching some yoga there, and I am really looking forward to digging into this hard part that I've been dealing with. And once I get through that, I don't know, maybe it'll be smoother sailing. Fingers crossed.
That's great. Wow. And does that project have a working title?
Interruption, yes, which is what happened to the soil as what the event that destroyed the soil.
Nice, nice. Well, as we wrap up, and I did not give you any pre-planning on this, but I always like to give our guests a chance to pay it forward, suggest a book or a writer, something you read recently, or just it doesn't have to be recently, it can be just one of your favorites. And if we need a long time to think about this, I can hit the edit pause button, but.
I'm just looking at my shelf here.
Oh my gosh, I have read so many books that I would give 5 stars to this year. Like, I have like a slew of recommendations. I would say two, can I give 2 favorites?
All right.
That I would recommend. So if you haven't yet read Lincoln Highway by Amor Towles, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Amor Towles. All of his work is amazing. I thought this one was outstanding and had very different vibes than his previous 2, but just as addictive and so full of twists, and just a really wonderful read. And then on a whole different level, actually going back to 2012, I recently picked up Aaron Morgenson's The Night Circus, which I'd not read when it came out, and was just really excited about that one. So if you've also not read it, it's a great little urban fantasy, historical urban fantasy. Yeah.
Kate, Mira has bought you a lot of time here, so.
No kidding. All right. Well, the one that has pulled me back into reading lately actually is, but it was given to me by a friend of my mom's, who's a big reader of historical fiction. Cashel Mara, which is Irish historical fiction, a family saga. And oh man, that just felt really nice because it was a vintage pocket book that's super thick as well with this family history. And I brought it back and forth to work and I beat it up to heck. But man, was that a satisfying reading experience. It really brought me back to being sucked into those huge, complex books.
Great. Fantastic. Well, I wish you lots of luck this summer as the pieces all come together. And thank you for all you've done to help get it ready. And thank you again for co-chairing. Are you guys going to sign up for year 3 or?
Well, that is the question.
In the air. I got to say, I'm probably not going anywhere. You've seen my face for a while. So, and I like this curriculum very much. So I think I'm sticking around, but Mira, we'll see. Mira, you want to speak?
We'll see.
We'll see.
We're interviewing to see if there might be somebody who might want to take on my side of it. But should that not happen, I'll be there.
We're in negotiations, it sounds like. Okay. Well, Mira and Kate, thank you so much. And we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for helping us get the word out.